Welcome everyone to this Mobile Coach webinar. This is why you need to hire a chatbot. So just an introduction to me. You may not have seen me on a Mobile Coach webinar before. My name is Paul Bills. My role at Mobile Coach is the Director of Chatbot Design. Basically, all that means is I lead our internal professional services team that helps design and build and execute chatbots for our clients when needed. So we are a chatbot authoring platform, and we want people to use that platform to achieve their business goals, whatever they are. So whether that's them building a chatbot on our platform with our support, or us collaborating with our team, building the chatbot on the platform and developing it for our clients, either way, my team is there to help. And so I've worked with Mobile Coach since actually the very beginning. I've been working here since day one. And really what we wanted to do in this webinar is share some of the successes we've had in the last 8.5 years. We want to show you what do chatbots really do best. And that's why we have the theme of hire a chatbot, because we want to hire the right chatbot for the right job. That's been key to success that we've found in the last 8.5 years. So let's dive in. First, I want to address this idea of hiring. So imagine that you're hiring for a job and you get this resume from John Doe, and all it says is intelligence. It's immediately obvious that that's not enough. You can't hire just knowing that they're intelligent. And over the years, a lot of our clients have said they're looking at AI, or they're looking at chatbots. But that alone isn't enough. There's so many different versions of AI out there, so many different AI providers, so many chatbot providers. And a lot of times people are talking to us in terms of, well, we want to find the best one. And just the best one on its own isn't enough. Just like intelligence isn't enough for a job. You need to make sure that what you're hiring or who you're hiring matches what you need. So really what we want you to focus on, what helps your chatbot succeed from the very beginning, is to focus on the job you're hiring for. What skill set do you need? What problem are you trying to solve? What service could there be that could connect the dots and solve this problem? And so if instead of thinking, I need to find the best chatbot, change your thinking to, I need to hire a chatbot for this job, that's already going to put you on a path to a better path to success than just thinking, I need to find the best one. So remember, intelligence isn't enough for a resume. You need the full list of skills. When you're evaluating chatbots or any AI solution, you need to think through, what is the job description? What does it need to do? And how can I find the right candidate to do that list of things that I need? So it's not really about best, it's about best fit. And so today, what I'm going to show you are some of our best hires in Mobile Coach history. Some of the chatbots that we've been able to put together that best fit the job and best got the job done for the particular job they were hired for. And hopefully this will springboard for you into more ideas for your organization about what kind of chatbots you might want to hire and what problems a chatbot could solve for your business. So let's just go right in. Before I do, one quote that kind of backs up what we believe about chatbots here at Mobile Coach. This is a couple years old now, but it's still very relevant. And I'll just read this here. It says, the important chatbots of 2019 and 2021 aren't all-knowing virtual butlers. They're highly targeted applications of conversational technology. And all the use cases I'm going to show you today are exactly that. They're highly targeted applications of conversational technology. They were hired for a specific job, and they got that job done. They don't do everything, but what they do very well. That's the idea we're going for. There are two different types of chatbots out there, passive and programmatic. Passive simply means it's waiting for a question. It doesn't proactively send anything, and programmatic has a script of things that it's going to send out according to certain triggers. That could be day of week, that could be day on program, that could be When something happens in another system, that could be the trigger for the programmatic chatbot. Most chatbots fall under one of these camps or both. So some chatbots can have some passive elements and some programmatic elements, or they can be one or the other. Most of the chatbots I'm going to show you today are a mix, but they lean toward programmatic. And the Mobile Coach platform really specializes in programmatic chatbots. So the chatbot reaching out based on those triggers. That's something that other chatbot platforms don't do nearly as much as the Mobile Coach platform does. Most platforms out there are on the passive side. But the chatbots, again, like I told you, the chatbots we're going to show today are a mix of both. So the first one, new employee onboarding. We worked with a network cloud services company that had a very specific problem. And that problem was new employees needed to finish a certain technical certification program in order to be fully productive in their new job. So it was very important to this company that those new employees both finish that program and finish it as quickly as possible. And before they were depending on two people to get this done, the employee's manager and an assigned employee mentor. But one of the challenges they were having was facilitating that communication between those people. And as is always true when you're hiring new people, one of the reasons you're hiring is because you're busy. There's a lot of work to do, so you need someone else to do that work. So it's always a challenge when you're hiring new people to have someone have the time to really nurture that person along. So enter this chatbot that would tackle all of those problems. It would help people get through that certification, get through it faster, and help them communicate better with that manager and mentor. And they did that by sending targeted messages at specific times after their hiring to help them check their progress at certain days along the timeline, see if they had questions or concerns. And if they did, it would pass those questions along to the mentor or manager as appropriate, and just make sure that they were moving along and being taken care of, and that they understood what they needed to do. And this was all done through SMS messages, but also messages on a service called Line, which is popular in other parts of the world, specifically or in the Asia region. And this is an international company, so we use the appropriate channel for the appropriate audience to try to reach people. And it was a success. So you can see here, people who use this chatbot were 58% more likely to finish the certification compared to groups who did not use the chatbot. And those who did finished it in 20% less time. So two of those main goals that this chatbot had, it succeeded in. And again, when we have a targeted job and we know what the chatbot needs to do, you hire the right chatbot and it gets the job done. And that's exactly what this is modeling for us. One thing that didn't work here that we might want to change is it depended entirely on the user to give us the information. So the user needed to tell the chatbot who their mentor and manager were. So this chatbot could be even better if we had some sort of connection into the company where we could automatically pull for this new user, here's their mentor, here's their manager. So if we don't need the employee to put that in, we can make this chatbot even more useful. So the next use case we're going to talk about is product knowledge training. So this one is the one we're highlighting here was specifically for a new car launch. So a new car was launched. You can imagine this is a stressful time for the manufacturer and the dealer. Customers are seeing the marketing. They're seeing the information about this car come out, and they come on the lot and they expect the dealer to know everything about the car. But the car is brand new to the dealer as well. So they need to get onboarded onto this new product knowledge as fast as possible. And they need to make sure they have all the answers to help that buyer feel confident in purchasing this brand new car. So this is kind of a high stress moment, but a chatbot can really help by being a constant companion in a couple of ways. So this particular chatbot would quiz people every day for 2 weeks, every business day for 2 weeks, just quizzing them, keeping them sharp on the particulars of this new model. And again, it succeeded at its job at helping people remember the facts about the new car. So when compared with a group that did not use the chatbot, they better retained knowledge from the initial training to after the chatbot period compared to that control group. And even better in this case, the learners actually described it as engaging. So they didn't feel like they were being forced to remember things because it was in this quiz form and it was gamified a little bit. They did have a leaderboard as well, so people could see how well they compared to other people selling the car. With those things combined, the learners actually enjoyed the experience. They considered it engaging and fun, even while it was solving this business problem. So again, we hired the right chatbot for the right job, and it solved this particular problem for this particular business. A couple things that we would improve here. There was a low opt-in rate in certain cases. It depended highly on who invited them to join the chatbot. So it could be even better if the salespeople at the dealership were auto-enrolled in this chatbot, if that would be possible, or if not, if they had someone kind of enthusiastically take the time to tell them how to opt into the chatbot. In this case, again, it was on SMS, so it was just texting on their phone, so they needed to take out their phone, text a keyword to a phone number. So if someone enthusiastically explains the benefit and gives them the time to actually take out their phone and do it, and they explain how to do it, the opt-in rate is very high, but they didn't have that in every case with every trainer. And so in some cases we had low opt-in rate when, and that of course doesn't even give the chance to the chatbot to be effective. So that's a hurdle that you need to make sure you cross as well when hiring a chatbot. And in this case, some texts did come at a bad time because they're on the lot, they're dealing with customers, your phone's buzzing. You don't want that to happen. So we want to improve that, make sure we're sending messages at the right time to the right audience. All right, the next one here, performance support. This is similar to the previous one we just talked about, but this was a little bit different approach. So again, it was a new car launch for a car manufacturer, but this time we made things more on demand. It was one of the ways we solved the problem of sending messages at the wrong time. So at any time for this chatbot, people could text in the word challenge and they would get a quiz. They could text in the word keyword and they would get a menu of things that they could look up, stats about the new car. And they could text the word quick fact and it would just randomly pull in one of those facts from the keyword. So keyword lets you look at a menu, whereas quick fact would just immediately return something about the car. The idea there was you have a minute between customers and you just want to remind yourself about something cool about this car. You could just say quick fact, you get something back and you're like, oh yeah, that is a good thing to know. I'll use that in my next conversation. So with this more passive setup, we wanted to make sure we continue to encourage engagement. So we gamified this one even more than the previous one. And as you can see over here on the right side of my screen, we have this pit stop GIF that was actually put together by one of our chatbot designers. And users of the chatbot would unlock these GIFs by accessing the different functions of the chatbot. So the more you said challenge, the more you said keyword, the more you say quick fact, the more badges you unlocked. And there's actually a page, a link that the chatbot would send you so you could see all the badges that were possible to earn and you could watch your progress. And so we really encourage people to access the chatbot to its fullest extent by unlocking all those badges. And that worked really well. People responded really well to that. However, because this chatbot was so passive, it didn't provide a lot of value to people who chose not to engage. So one thing we might change in the future is more programmatic messages that give some of those quick facts and some of those keyword facts so that at least you get something from this chatbot experience, even if you don't engage. All right, next one here, event navigation and support. So you've likely attended trade shows and events in your life where there's registration, there's breakfast and lunch, there's all kinds of different sessions to attend. And so navigating all of that, especially when you're in an unfamiliar place, can be difficult. So a chatbot can help by removing some of the burden from staff to repeat themselves all the time. So the chatbot can give those answers to everyone whenever they need it, and you don't have to have someone answering the same question over and over again. So this particular chatbot was for a L&D conference, and It answered common FAQs about the facility and the conference itself, but it also had a specialized function where you could say, give me a session on this topic, and it would take that topic, compare it with the list of available sessions, find a session for you, and say, here's a great session on that topic. The speaker is this person, and here's where you can find it in the conference facility. So this, again, is a pretty targeted use case. There is a limited list of FAQs it could answer, and there's a limited list of sessions, but it really makes a difference when you're in that moment. You've entered the hotel and you say, okay, what do I do next? Where do I go? It can be really helpful just to say, where is registration, and get that answer back, rather than looking through a booklet or looking on a website, or looking around for signs. You just know that the answer is right there in your pocket. And so we had success with this one as well. 84% of questions that the chatbot received in this case were answered automatically. So that's a lot of questions that that person didn't have to look around everywhere for that source of information. They could find it right there through the chatbot. Some things we could improve on this one. In that moment where you have that question, you need to make sure that chatbot is very easy to get to. And we think we could have made it even easier to get to. So it was, in this case, it was inside the conference app, but we feel like we could have highlighted it better, advertised it better, so people knew that chatbot was there for them. Another challenge this one had is what I call the play with it problem. When you give people new technology, they might not need to use it for its intended use case right away, but they think it's cool, so they want to do something with it. So people asked all kinds of strange questions on this one, like what's the greatest hip hop album of all time? Or did the Steelers win? Things like that. The chatbot wasn't prepared to answer. So you need to make sure you at least have a strategy in place for the play with it problem. You don't have to answer every question on the planet. You want to stay targeted, but you need to have something ready in those use cases. Something like, hey, I don't know that, but try this question, or let me bring in human help, whatever that strategy might be. All right, so the next one here is safety and compliance. So this one, what we built for a gaming company that makes gaming cabinets, like you see in Vegas and other places. So things like slot machines, video poker, things like that. So this company has a very unique workforce specifically designed to go maintain those machines, to install them, to fix them, to perform regular maintenance on them. You can imagine this audience is difficult to reach. They're on the move, they're on their feet, they're in their cars, going all over the place. How do you consistently reach them for something very important like safety and compliance? So we want to protect them. They're dealing with different machines, different locations. There's a lot that could potentially, cause harm or cause problems. So you want to make sure they're up to date on everything they need to do. They may approach a cabinet that they haven't approached in months. They need to know exactly what the steps are to stay safe while working with that particular piece of machinery. So how do you reach them? Enter the chatbot. So this again was an SMS chatbot. It was via text message, but that was a reliable way to reach this particular population. And it was programmatic. So it would send out safety reminders and compliance reminders on a schedule, and keep people just up to date on what they need to know to stay safe. And this one had some impressive results. So in the first year after using the chatbot, they went down from 21 incidents to just 3 incidents. So clearly it was getting that information across, and it was frictionless. So they didn't have to log in. The information wasn't getting lost in their email. They weren't complaining about having to sit at a computer when they needed to, be on their feet all day. It was right there in their pocket. And there was a bit of a side benefit here that we didn't anticipate at first, in that it also provided proof of training. So it helped with proving in any legal case that, yes, these people received this particular training on this date. Here's the exact text of what they received. So this training was done. So that helps with the compliance side of things to prove that this company is providing this safety training to protect their people. One drawback to this is because we used SMS, we don't get granular data. So we didn't see things like how many people read this particular message, how many people opened this particular message. So you don't get that with SMS, but you might get it on a different platform. But I think the benefits definitely outweigh that one drawback here. So we have just a couple more. Frontline training. So this was a convenience store chain, think things like 7-Eleven. They would open new stores and they would need new employees to be up to speed and ready to go when the new store launched. So they had a couple days of intense training, but we needed to make sure that that training stuck and that they understood it and that they were actually employing it. So the chatbot came in. Again, this was slightly gamified. It did have a leaderboard, but it would provide contextual questions based on what your role would be. So if you're at the checkout stand, it would have questions about that. If you're maintaining and cleaning the store, it would have questions about that. And so it would provide contextual questions to your role. And actually, this particular client decided in the kind of the break room in the back for the employees, they would have their leaderboard always displaying on a TV back there. So as people went through and they answered these questions and they got ready for the opening, they could see how that leaderboard changed throughout the day. And it helped people stay engaged. You can also imagine these were part-time workers. A lot of them were younger. And so having something just right on their phone without downloading a new app or anything, just by texting, they're very familiar with this, very comfortable with that. They described it as engaging, and we had high engagement rates in this particular use case because of that. So fitting the chatbot to the job, having it have the right skills to reach this particular audience really paid off in this case. But you can imagine, because they're part-time and they're on personal phones, there are some regulations that we needed to deal with. So we couldn't message them after the training period. So we can only message them during those kind of 2, in some cases 3 days of training before the opening. We couldn't continue after that, just to comply with regulations. We would have loved to continue. So that was one drawback in this case, but definitely something that you can address and still an effective chatbot. Okay, so that covers all our chatbot use cases we wanted to tell you. So these aren't, of course, the only stories of success in mobile coach history, but each of these represents a particular case of we hired the right chatbot for the right job. We understood what the job was, what we needed to get done. We built a chatbot that matched that, and we made a difference for these companies. And so that really is kind of the magic that you want to have happen when you are looking to add a chatbot to your organization. So after looking at all these, we do want to share some general lessons. The first one I've already harped on a lot. You want to define the job. You want to know not just, we want a chatbot. What can a chatbot do for us? What problems are we having that a chatbot could solve? The better you can define that from the beginning, the more successful your chatbot's going to be before you even write the first message. A couple other lessons that I like to put in here. I like to say a lot, personality second. A lot of people, when they get into a chatbot, they think it should be funny. It should, have a big personality. A lot of people like to create avatars for the chatbot. All of that is good, but in my mind, for the chatbot to succeed, that's second in priority. First in priority is getting the job done. And you can see here I put in and out mentality. I really like to go to In and Out. I really like their food. And it's really a credit to In and Out that everyone there is always the friendliest, happiest fast food worker that I've seen anywhere. But sometimes they're a little too friendly. When you get up there, they say, "Hi, how are you? How's your day going?" And I don't want to have a whole conversation. I want to order my burger and then get out. If you're nice to me, that's great. That adds to my experience. But I don't want the niceness to get in the way of what I'm there to do, to order my food and go. Same with the chatbot. If the personality is getting in the way of providing the information the person needs, they're going to think it's annoying and not useful. You want to make sure you're getting the job done first, especially in a chatbot. A couple other things to consider. You don't want dead ends. So people, when they first encounter the chatbot, they're going to play with it for, you're going to get about 30 seconds. I don't have data on this, but just anecdotally, you're going to get about 30 seconds to impress them, to help it click in their mind. And so if they try something in those first 30 seconds and your chatbot goes dead, there's no way to get them back on the program. They'll likely drop it and never pick it up again. They won't give it a second chance. So you need to make sure that even if they say something totally crazy that you weren't expecting at all, that you get them back on track, that the chatbot responds in some way. You have some plan in place to keep them moving forward, so that they can see that the software is still working. So you don't want those dead ends. And finally, I mentioned this a little bit. You want it to be frictionless, as frictionless as possible. You want it to be really easy, really smooth for the person to consider. I want this from the chatbot, and here it is. They don't need to go hunting for it. It's right there in an app or in a service that they already understand and use frequently, and it's just there ready for them. And there's not much they need to do to get it working. So as much friction as you can remove, the better. So those are general lessons. Finally, things you might want to look for to help you see that you have a problem that a chatbot could solve. So one thing to think just in general, if a conversation could help solve your problem, a chatbot could likely help solve the problem. So if you're thinking, if we could just tell everybody to do this one thing, everything would be better, then a chatbot might be the right hire to get that job done. Anytime someone is saying the same thing over and over and over again, a chatbot could help there too. If someone is constantly repeating the same training, or if someone is constantly answering the same question, it's likely that you could have a chatbot answer that question instead. And then that person could answer more in-depth questions or help people more personally rather than repeating themselves all the time. Another thing to look for is when information isn't needed frequently, but when it is needed, it needs to be very precise. So think back to that safety and compliance use case. When I'm working on a cabinet, I don't always work on this cabinet, but when I do, I need to do it right or I might break it. So that's exactly a perfect use case for a chatbot, where I don't need this information all the time. When I do need it, I need it quickly and I need it to be accurate. A chatbot, of course, is going to remember it perfectly. So it's going to give you exactly what you need as long as you have programmed it with the right question in mind. So a chatbot can really help solve that problem. And finally, a chatbot is really good for concrete information that's easily compacted. So if you have acronyms, if you have models, if you have graphics, things that are a lot of information that has been compacted into a nice shareable model or a nice memorable image of some sort, or formula, a chatbot is really good at sharing those things. It's less good at sharing really abstract, less contextual information. It's better at sharing things that are easy to share, easy to remember. So what should you do next? You've listened to this webinar, you've seen these use cases, something's triggered in your brain about, hey, maybe a chatbot could help us with this. What you should do next is these steps. So you should define that job as clearly as possible. What job are we hiring for? What is this chatbot supposed to do? Is this chatbot going to be programmatic? Are we going to push out a script, or is it going to be passive, waiting for people to come ask the chatbot questions, or is it going to be a mix of both? How are people going to get to this chatbot? Are they going to be texting a keyword? Is it going to be inside our Microsoft Teams instance? Is it going to be in our Slack channel? How are people going to find it? How are they going to use it? Once you define those things, hire the right chatbot, hire the right platform for that job. So Mobile Coach, we're just one chatbot platform. We're very good at the kinds of jobs we showed you today and several others. We're happy to talk to you about the job you want your chatbot to do. And we want to help you do that. So as part of that, for those of you who are joining this webinar, we do have a special we want to offer today. If you want to start building a chatbot, if you want to hire a chatbot to complete a job at your organization, let us know. And we're offering a free sandbox where you can build your own chatbot, have up to 100 users use that chatbot on a single channel for 30 days, just to kind of try a chatbot, bring it on, hire it for a particular job, see what kind of difference it can make. So here's my contact information. You can let us know if you want to take advantage of that special, or if you just want to chat more about what can chatbots do for your organization. Feel free to reach out to me either on LinkedIn or at my email there. So we do want to take a few minutes for Q&A, but that's what we wanted to share with you today. So thanks everybody for coming. And now I'll open it up if there's any questions. It looks like Vince and Corey have been answering some questions throughout the experience. Any other questions we want to answer now? Okay, looks like Corey and Vince might have got it covered already. Amy asked, what's the average time to build a chatbot? So on our particular platform, it depends on how complex your use case is. But what we tell our clients is that in most cases, you can have a functional chatbot within 30 days. And that includes time to write the script, get the script approved by stakeholders, build it in our platform, test it, and have it ready for launch. So 30 days is our typical timeline, but it can actually be less or a little bit more than that, depending on the complexity. Yeah, of course. You're welcome, Amy. All right, well, we are at time. So if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or at pbills@mobilecoach.com. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending this webinar today. And again, we will be sending out this recording. Thanks, everybody.